All right, so it's time to get into my most anticipated movie of the year. That's right, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, the Star Wars killer. Or not. So right now, somebody's really mad at me, right? Because I compared this film to Star Wars. Well, I don't mean any offense. I mean, everybody just relax, live long and prosper. Wait, that's not Star Wars, that's Star Trek. Let's talk about Valerian. Okay, so let's talk about Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Now, I'm not going to get into all of that about who took from who. Did Star Wars take from Valerian? Did Valerian take from Star Wars? I'm going to leave all that alone because I don't really have time to get into all of that. Yes, I do. And everybody knows who took from who. It was Star Wars that borrowed from Valerian. But you didn't hear that from me. I mean, does it really matter who borrowed from who anyway? Let's just talk about the movie. So here's the thing, you guys. It's no secret that Valerian was my most anticipated movie of the year. And in some ways, this thing hits really big for me. In other ways, not so much. So let's get into what I really loved about this film. So, all right, look, for all the cinematic shade that everybody's throwing at this film, oh, I like that term, cinematic shade. Don't use that. It's a thing. It belongs here at Dark Side Movie Reviews. I'm serious, don't use it. So I will tell you that one thing that this thing does well and impressively so is it is a visual feast for the eyes. This movie is absolutely beautiful. It is stunning, it is creative, it is imaginative, it is just like what I thought we would get from Luc Besson. So that is probably the biggest punch that this film has had. I will say that you likely have not seen anything like this in terms of a space opera or a space story in a long, long time, if ever. It does have the trademark of Besson on it. So that's one thing that really delivers on this film. I haven't heard anybody say that they've had problems with this film in that way. So I think that cinematically or cinematically in the sense of the cinematography in this film, it was really, really good. It really delivered. And I was scared because I just got off of seeing War for the Planet of the Apes that had some of the best cinematography I've ever seen in my life. I mean, super impressive. So I was a little bit nervous for Valerian because I didn't know how it would stack up. And I know that though they're different films, it was probably going to get some comparison. But I was pleasantly surprised, man. I mean, this thing was beautiful. It was creative. It was very, very well executed from a cinematic standpoint or from the cinematography standpoint. I'm trying to make the distinction because I used the word cinematic a little while ago. And I don't want you guys to get confused with how I'm using the terms because they're kind of interchangeable. That's what you get when you get full geek mode. But visually, this thing was stunning. So I really love that aspect of this film. Now, where this film had some problems is with the story. So here's the thing, you guys. The biggest problem with Valerian for me was the writing of the story did not feel very epic. As I said, it delivered big time visually, and it actually introduced some ideas or concepts that were pretty cool, but the writing of the story didn't feel very epic. A lot of people complained about all the different subplots going on. Honestly, that didn't bother me so much because I feel like subplots are necessary, especially if they're part of the context of the story. Maybe they're developing a relationship between two characters, and maybe it doesn't tie back neatly into a bow into the main plot, but that's okay as long as that serves some kind of purposeful or meaningful context to the story. But even here, I didn't feel like it did that well. I understand that some of those subplots were really kind of trying to develop the relationship between Laureline and Valerian, but it didn't do that well at all. I just kind of felt unimpressed by the writing in this film. And here's where somebody that's a big fan of the comic book needs to comment below, because maybe for those of us who are just average moviegoers that want to see this film, maybe we're missing something. Maybe we don't understand what's going on and you do, so you have to educate us. So please do that. But I always feel like two things are going on. Whenever you have a book to film adaptation and the book has a large following, there's always two things that filmmakers have to do. They have to, and they should, you've heard me say this before, pay respect and homage to the individuals who are big fans of the book, because without them, you probably wouldn't have the film. But they also have to create a film that's broad enough for those of us who are just general moviegoers that are interested in seeing the movie can also appreciate. And I feel like Valerian kind of fails to do that. I was unimpressed by the final act or the third act in this film. I thought it was kind of boring in its delivery, and I wanted that to be epic as well, and I didn't really get that. So those are my main problems with Valerian. Should you go see this film? I do think just for the visual impact alone, it's definitely worth your movie-going dollars. This is not a save your money film. Definitely worth you going to check it out, and you might enjoy it. What I'm really interested in knowing here is how the fans of this source material really enjoyed this film, because now you know how I feel about it, and there's tons of other reviews out there, and the general consensus is almost the same except for a handful of reviewers. So I wouldn't say that this is a terrible film. I would not say it lived up to my expectations, definitely, but it's not a terrible film. So guys, listen, thank you so much as always. You do see some newness right behind me. You see the darkness. Well, we did change our name to Dark Side Movie Reviews, and again, I keep saying I'll have to do a video on the story behind that. But it is a good story, guys. Thank you so much. If you have not subscribed, please make sure that you do so. Please make sure that you share this and give it a thumbs up and hit that notification bell, because we have some other things. I'm working on something for all you 80s and 90s TV fans, so we're still doing that. Guys, there's some other videos up that I've done recently. Check those out as well. Again, we're pushing for 500 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you join the Dark Side community. And with that, we'll see you on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.